I don't think a day goes by when we don't have a patient at Center Spring MD concerned or worried about their weight. And a lot of times it's not just like, oh my gosh, I want to lose weight, but it's I'm doing everything right. I'm eating healthy. I'm organic. Why can I not lose weight? Or why do I suddenly have 10 pounds on me that wasn't here 3 months ago? And I can really empathize with how many of those women feel. I've been in the same boat where all of a sudden a belly shows up and I'm like, okay, what just happened here? Here's what's going on. These shifts in weight are very much a part of our story as women. And the reason they are is because we have hormones, and those hormones shift and move in different directions. But the problem is there's no acknowledgement of the role of hormones in weight. The traditional language is eat less, exercise more, you're doing something wrong, you're guilty, you're bad, so much noise, and it leaves none of us feeling very good about ourselves. Well, it's simply not true, and we're going to set the record straight. So what I'd like to do in the time that I have with you is make sure you at least understand the hormones that are at play when it comes to weight and weight gain. And these can happen at any age. They can happen at 13 and they can happen all the way post-menopause. So let's break it down. Number one, you've heard us talk about this before, insulin resistance. And what the body is doing in response to blood sugar is the primary reason we see visceral fat or fat around our abdomen. Again, I've talked a lot about insulin resistance in some of my videos. Check out one of them right here. That particular pattern is one that we should be watching for because it changes over time. You could have had no history of blood sugar issues or gaining weight around your belly, but insulin resistance often shows up when the hormones are stressed. For example, it shows up postpartum, it'll show up in perimenopause and menopause, and shows up with PCOS. So that's one pattern in particular that we want to jump on top of. The next one is your thyroid, and the two are kind of connected, but your thyroid does play a role in your metabolic rate. And when we don't manage our thyroids, it becomes difficult to lose weight, and it becomes really difficult to have energy. Thyroid instability leads to a couple of things. For example, not being able to get through a workout, having trouble sleeping at night, losing hair, not being able to think, and so much more. So we want to get our thyroid balanced definitely when we're having a conversation around weight. We also need to understand the androgens. So these are DHT, testosterone, free testosterone. When those androgens go up in response to stress, our environment, our genetics, and so much more, well, it drives up insulin and we end up insulin resistant. So the two work together. And that in turn is a huge roadblock when it comes to losing weight. And then estrogen dominance, one of the most universal patterns I see, and sometimes a trigger for everything I just talked about, the high insulin, the androgens, all of it. But estrogen dominance is this idea that we're storing or holding on to estrogen. We can have low estrogen levels, but still have estrogen dominance because the body is holding on to estrogen, unwilling to let it go, driving up blood sugar, driving up insulin, more belly fat, more weight, we're working out harder and getting nowhere. Don't want that for you. And last but certainly not least is cortisol and stress. I've talked a lot about superwoman syndrome. I've talked about how women are one of the most stressed generations of women that we have seen with the juggling that they all do almost at every stage. But there is a real fallout from high cortisol levels. Some of that is the spike in insulin, the holding on of estrogen, a crash of that thyroid, and a spike in androgens. So hopefully you're starting to see how all these hormone patterns work together to create a massive roadblock for you when you're trying to lose weight. So those are the hormone patterns, and I break down a lot of these hormone patterns and helping you to identify which hormone pattern may be the most dominant for you in my latest book, now available for pre-order, The Hormone Shift. Check out this link to go ahead and place your order so you can really dive into and be armed with the information you need to get your hormones tested and to understand what you need to do about it. But this is a message of hope because there's so much that you can do when it comes to your hormones. Knowledge is one thing, but really shifting and changing them is another. And what I really want for all of you is to understand how you shift and change it and what you can do. So in my next video, we're going to break down what you need to do and what you can do right within your home to shift your hormone levels before you even get to the doctor. Stay tuned.